Aubrey wakes up at 6 a.m. on Thursday, the 18th of spring, and once again, uh, in a habit, as part of her habit, she goes to watch the TV. Ah, refreshing rain, a farmer's best friend. When it rains, you don't have to water your crops. Ah. Interestingly, the TV show that she was watching provided her with no useful information, as she already knew that rainwater was capable of watering her crops for me. And it turns out that the spirits are mildly perturbed today, and that therefore the spirits are not on my side today, Aubrey thinks. Oh shit, oh, there we go, perfect. She attempted to retrieve the salmon berries from a salmonberry bush, and for a second it looked like the salmon berries were going to fall off the edge of the cliff, but no. It turns out that it was most likely her small magnet ring, which slightly increases her radius for collecting items, was exactly the thing that she needed that allowed her to pick up the salmon berry before it fell off the cliff. Perfect. She collects a potato, 2 potatoes in fact, from her farm. Some of these seeds she's finding, some of these seeds are maturing early, some of the seeds are still growing, and actually she's not really sure which parts of her farm were planted before she planted those 30 spring seeds that she got. But not knowing this information, she's forced to assume that the plants that are sprouting now and are mature now are not the same plants as the ones that she planted as part of that 30 packet, or that 30 plant packet that she found when she pleased the Junimo spirits. So, she went to the river, or she goes to the river. Aubrey goes to the river and fills her watering can, and she gets slightly distracted as she picks up salmonberry off of a bush on the sort of center area of her farm, and then she goes back to watering each and every one of her plants as though it were one of her own children. She looks at her plants. She looks at all of the seeds that are germinated, looks at all of the plants that are growing, all of the vegetables that are growing, and she looks upon them with tears welling up in her eyes. She's very proud of each and every single one of these plants. She thinks of them as her own, as the products of her own womb, and she's very proud of each and every single one of them. Holy shit, fantastic. Excellent, okay. She puts away a whole lot of stuff from her inventory. It turns out that she's having a bit of trouble organizing everything. She's not really set on a specific categorization scheme for her items. Perhaps this will do. Perhaps she will actually go through all of her items in the blue chest and pick out everything that could be possibly conceived of as a gift, and take out all of the gifts and move each and every single one of them into the other chest, so that we have one chest that is for things that can be used and spent and expended, and one chest for things that are used exclusively as gifts. Fantastic. However, she urges herself to keep at least 1 quartz, because she has not yet reached her weekly limit of gifts for Abigail. And she knows that since Abigail loves quartz, she needs to have quartz on her at all times, just in case she runs into Abigail. Holy crap, actually, she just realized I haven't been paying any attention to people's birthdays, so Aubrey has a bit of a panic, and she spins around and heads straight towards town. She starts sprinting at top speed. She's sprinting across the cobblestones. She's heading straight for Pierre's, because she needs to look at the calendar. She needs to know when Emily's birthday is, because she likes these people, to be fair, but doesn't really care about giving them gifts on their birthdays. However, she does care about giving Emily a gift on her birthday. So she needs to be very careful about that. She needs to be very careful that when Emily's birthday comes around, she actually gives Emily a present on her birthday. Because even though Aubrey has not been giving Emily a lot of attention lately, she still wants to be her friend, and she still wants to do nice things for Emily. And as she's thinking these things, Aubrey reaches the kitchen of the house where Abigail lives, and Pierre and Caroline, and she just walks after Abigail and walks behind her very obviously with a big piece of quartz held above her head. She's very, 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 very clearly trying to give this quartz to Abigail, and so she does so. "Hey, how do you know I was hungry? This looks delicious," she says, laughing to herself. "Oh no, I think my dad's going to cook dinner tonight," she says. A bit worried, she really doesn't want Pierre to cook dinner tonight. "Abigail, holy shit. Why don't we just hang out? Just come with me. Come with me on one of my adventures. We can go in the mines together. I can show you how to use a sword. I can show you all of the reasons why I hate slimes so much. I can show you why I hate those little burrowing monsters. Honestly, I should just call them moles, frankly. Those little burrowing monsters..." Yeah, Aubrey begins. "I'm just going to call them moles from now on." Fantastic. Help wanted. Aubrey finds a help wanted sign from Elliot. He is looking for a farm fresh green bean. Oh, man, you know what, Elliot? Aubrey begins. "I will accept your quest, yet, frankly, I don't have any green beans. So, Aubrey goes and talks to Pierre and looks for green beans, and she finds a bean starter, which is sort of reminiscent of a green bean. It takes 10 days to mature. It's not really worth it," Aubrey concludes. And she turns 180 degrees and she moves straight out of Pierre's shop. Upon doing this, she realizes that there's really no reason why. There's really nothing that she's going to do. Actually, she realizes that she went to all the trouble of killing all of those slimes for her own personal benefit, and never once did she imagine that her efforts in the mines, killing all of those monsters, killing all of those moles, killing all of those slimes, would make any difference to anyone other than herself. So she looks in her mind's eye. She looks in her list of quests, potential things to do, potential emotions that other people in the town are feeling, and she realizes that Marlin has set aside a position for her specifically to become a member of the Adventurers Guild. And Aubrey remembers a flash of memories where she was excited to become a member of the Adventurers Guild, and she realizes that, you know what? I'm still excited to become a member of the Adventurers Guild, she thinks. So she heads straight toward the Adventurers Guild, and for the very first time, she looks upon its glory, a beautiful forest green and brown cabin in the middle of nowhere, right next to the mines. It's locked. It opens at 2 p.m. Really? Aubrey is just so caught off guard by that. 2 p.m. Really? They open at 2 p.m.? However, it's not so bad because Aubrey realizes that it's already 1:40 p.m. And being that she's already in a location that she's never been in before, she realizes that there's a lot of energy to be spent exploring this area and looking at things, and she finds a bridge that's sort of broken, and beneath the bridge there's a chasm, and at the bottom of which there's like a cracked mud floor. She has no idea what it is, and frankly, she really hopes that she'll never have to encounter that mud floor ever in her entire life. So She moves back to the Adventurers Guild, and she goes into the Adventurers Guild building. And she goes inside and finds a very interesting looking building with a very interesting decor. A bear pelt is on the ground, typical for adventurers. Before she speaks to anyone, she goes into the back room, and she finds a very strange looking room. She's not exactly sure why such a room would exist in an adventurers guild. There's a plant, a lamp, a double bed, which presumably would hold two people, and there are two people here, so presumably these two people live in these two beds. There's a single dresser, which presumably holds all of the clothes that these two people own. One of these people, Marlon, say, owns like the top drawer, and this other dude in the corner owns the one directly underneath. Who is this anyway? Aubrey wonders. She runs straight up to the second person and talks to him. It's Gil. Who the fuck is Gil? She wonders. Come back when you've got something to show me, kid, he says idly, rocking back and forth in his rocking chair. Having had enough of this bullshit, Aubrey looks directly into Marlon's eyes and looks at him and just says hello. Oh my god, it's a wooden blade, which is a level 2 sword. Her own sword, she realizes, does 2 to 5 damage. Yet, this wooden blade, which costs a mere 250 gold, does 3 to 7 damage. Christ. Oh wow, look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff that Marlon sells, she says. What an amazing selection of items. She goes and looks at what looks like a notice board, which seems to be a list of all the monsters that have been slain. Hey, it gives the name, Duggies. Okay, she's pretty sure that Duggies is the name that refers to those little horrible burrowing monsters who have been eating miners and taking their explosives, taking their cherry bombs, and confusing the hell out of anybody who goes and fights them. Yeah, that's right. Oh, it becomes clear to Aubrey that these numbers are fractions of a completed quest, and that once she completes these quests, she's supposed to see Gil to claim her reward. Well, Aubrey realizes that she can't actually do anything in the Adventurers Guild right now. Gil won't talk to her. Marlon is in full merchant mode and won't say a single thing that is of help. And so Aubrey decides that there's no reason to be here until she gets a bit more money, at which point it might be worth coming back to buy a sword and perhaps a ring. Perhaps a sword and a ring could be bought from this location. She confirms to herself in her own mind. And she decides to leave the Adventurers Guild behind and continue exploring the area. She catches a glimpse of a leek and a salmonberry bush atop the platform where Linus lives, and she decides that she's just gonna go ahead and harvest these things without speaking to Linus. After all, on multiple occasions, she has confirmed that Linus isn't actually interested in talking, so she doesn't even bother saying hello to him anymore. She could, but at the moment she's feeling a bit antisocial, so she will speak to him at another time. And having decided this, she sort of gives Linus a glance as she harvests his salmon berries, and as she looks at him, she can tell that he's sort of nodding in approval at her as she harvests his salmon berries. She's pretty sure that Linus wasn't intending to use these salmon berries or the leek, and that he's just happy that Aubrey is heeding his request and leaving him alone and not forcing him to speak, because it's very clear that Linus doesn't like speaking. Excellent. Aubrey comes upon a set of worms. Once again, another set of worms, and she just jabs the hoe into the ground violently and heaves out 3 clays, which are utterly worthless. Fantastic. Oh, she didn't realize that her farm was right here. She comes out of the area to find that her farm is right here and that she did not need to worry at all about getting back home on time. So she arrives back at her farm and gives it a bit of a look over. She's inspecting any potential regrowth of chaos and disorder that could have been brought on by the passage of time. She remembers all of the work that she did clearing out this entire area, clearing all the rocks, all the plants, all of the wood, all of the trees that were blocking her from doing literally anything. And she's very pleased to see that, for the most part, it's exactly the way she left it. Though she can't help but notice that there are, frankly, dozens of tiny trees popping into existence that she can mine to acquire acorns. Oak trees. Yes. Perfect. Okay. She plants the acorns and the pine cones into her red chest, and then she plants the leeks and clay into her blue chest. And another thing which she, frankly, does not remember what she clicked on. She clicked on something by accident, and she wasn't looking, and it just vanished from her vision. It's like she was standing in front of the chest, and she was just rapidly pulling things out of her chest, and like in great succession, just tearing things out of her bags, and wasn't really looking, and then realized, wait a minute, I'm missing something important. Little did she know, something important was indeed missing, but even on Friday, the 19th of spring, she was completely oblivious to any information that would tell her what exactly it was that she dropped. But it doesn't matter because she's pretty sure she has everything she needs. Perfect. Okay. She looks into her mailbox and sees a letter from Jody. Farmer Aubrey, I have a request for you. I need fresh cauliflower for a recipe I want to make. Could you bring me one? Asks Jody. And Aubrey is very excited because she's almost completely sure that she has a cauliflower. And she reaches into her red chest and pulls out a cauliflower. And with all of the enthusiasm of somebody who is determined to impress a carpenter, a very capable woman who is one of the leaders of this town, Aubrey just pulls out her cauliflower and sets out to do all of her morning chores, and then instantly, as soon as she's finished, head over to talk to Robin and give her the cauliflower. Robin is, in fact, Aubrey is so determined to give Robin the cauliflower that she almost doesn't even remember that she needs to water her crops. Though she does so anyway because, honestly, at this point, there's basically nothing that could stop her from keeping up with her duties as a farmer. She refills her water can and does a little bit of maintenance, digging up a maple seed and a pine cone from her property, both of whom seem to have taken root on her property without Aubrey's express permission, which she does not take kindly to. And so, in response, she has very firmly removed them from their homes. Both the maple seed and the pine cone are now completely separated from their locations, their original locations, and Aubrey very carefully puts all of the seeds in one location. Perfect. Okay. Being that it is 8:40 a.m., Aubrey is fairly certain that if she heads out now, she can get the cauliflower to Jody's house in time. She looks into her mind's eye. She tries to remember if she has given all of her friends their gifts this week, and she realizes that she hasn't given Emily a gift this week. And so she looks through her chest full of fancy items and pulls out a daffodil, which she is 100% certain that Emily will love. And she brings it with her just in case she manages to run into Emily on the way. Just to be sure, she looks again through her list of people and concludes that Emily's the only person that she was forgetting about, even remotely. Though, to be fair, she wasn't forgetting about Emily because the past 30 minutes were basically, in essence, dedicated entirely to Emily, as Aubrey spent the entire time remembering, both remembering that Emily existed and that she liked gifts, and remembering that Emily liked flowers. So Aubrey continues on, and she heads back towards Jody's. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Wait. Jody? Not Robin. Jody. For some reason, Aubrey was confused. She was heading up towards Robin's house, but the letter she received was not from Robin. It was from Jody. Jody does not live north of the town. She lives in town. She lives sort of on the southwestern corner of town. So, Aubrey turns around and she holds the cauliflower in her hands so that it does not fly out of her bags as she makes such a swift spin move in an attempt to more efficiently move toward Jody's home. She enters Jody's home and finds Jody standing on a step stool doing the dishes. It appears that Jody is a very short woman. She's probably shorter than 5'6", as she requires a step stool in order to reach the goddamn sink. Aubrey is very happy that she is not so short that she requires a step stool to perform basic household tasks. She runs up to Jody and gifts her the cauliflower. "Oh, that looks so delicious. Thank you. This is just what I wanted. It's going to be perfect for my yellow curry," Jody says. "You're welcome, Jody. The food at Jojo Mart might not be the healthiest for my family, but with such low prices, you'd be crazy to shop anywhere else," she says. "Oh my god, Jody, don't get me started. Jojo Mart's prices are ridiculously low. However, have you considered the evil that they represent, Jody? Jody? Hello?" Sam says, "Did I ever tell you we used to live in the city?" he says. "Did I ever tell you that I used to be called Goku?" says Sam. "There's a lot more stuff going on, but it's also kind of noisy and hectic. It's hard to say which is better," he goes on. "You know what, Sam? I understand," says Aubrey. "I understand that it is difficult to choose between city and country living," as she looks into her mind's eye and retrieves the 350 gold that Jody had given to her just moments before. Perfect. Aubrey was beginning to Aubrey was beginning to remember her purpose in life. Aubrey was beginning to remember her entire reason for coming here. She found Haley on the sidewalk and decided to give Haley a flower. "From me? Thank you," says Haley. She's really excited. Aubrey is frankly not surprised at all that she gave Haley a gift that she seemed to absolutely love, and then in the moments immediately following the gift giving, Haley just returned to her previous behavior, her previous shitty, unfriendly behavior of completely ignoring Aubrey like a pretentious asshole. like the pretentious asshole that she is. Aubrey vowed Aubrey vows at this point, you know what? I am never going to give Haley a gift ever again because she is obviously just not worth my time. Okay. I don't exactly regret doing what I just did. She goes on. However, um, I'm not going to do it again. I consider it to be a learning experience, she says, out loud to herself, speaking into the chest where the anchovy lives. And as she says this to the anchovy, Terence looks up at her and sort of gives a little bit of a knowing glance, as if to say, you know what? There are fish like that in the sea as well. And Terence completely understands Aubrey in that moment. Aubrey distracts herself by going and petting Joan of Arc, who's lounging quite luxuriantly in the area just above the garden plot. Perfect. Okay. Aubrey struggles to remember exactly what she was doing here, but then remembers she was making a furnace. She needs 20 copper ore and 25 stone. And she is almost 100% sure that she has all of those things. A ton of stone, a ton of copper. Just look at this. A furnace, a perfect furnace, 100% to Clint's specifications. Aubrey just crafts the hell out of this furnace with no defects, no problems whatsoever. She just creates it exactly as the blueprints specify, and she places it down right in front of her house, whereupon it becomes useful for turning ores into bars. And to celebrate, Aubrey pulls out some coal and some copper ore and starts to smelt some bars. Perfect. She smelts a single bar and then decides, you know what? That's probably enough for today. I don't actually need. I don't actually need a whole heck of a lot of copper bars. She goes on, but I'll smelt this one just to verify that this design is actually functional. She says, "Perfect. Use your furnace to smelt the copper bar. Perfect. The spirits, the Junomo, really, really, really want Aubrey to smelt this copper bar, which is exactly what she does. And so when she looks into her... Oh, when she looks into her quest log, her mind's eye, she realizes that she's done exactly what her conscience has told her, and now that she has smelted a copper bar, there's nothing else to be done. However, Aubrey now realizes that it is her duty to create a coup, to reach level 40 in the mines, and to do this stupid thing for Elliot that she's completely unable to do due to the fact that she does not actually have access to green beans. Perfect. Okay. So, reach a high level in the mines and build a coup. Aubrey is almost 100% certain that building a coup requires 1,000 gold at least, of which she only has roughly 500. So, perhaps, she begins, I can make some of this money back by selling some of my worldly possessions. And she decides that she will head back to her chests and look through her chests and see if there is anything that she can sell for a profit. She realizes that she has 14 entire parsnips. She decides to sell 10 of her 14 parsnips. She decides to keep the leeks because she knows that George likes them. She decides to keep the horseradish just in case. Oh my god, she has 11 geodes. Too bad it's too late to go to talk to Clint because 11 geodes, holy crap, she thinks. What could possibly be hidden inside these geodes? What treasures? She realizes that there are 6 entire silver spring onions that could be sold, um, and that there's also a silver potato. Whoops. And Terrence is in here as well. And what else? That's basically it. Nope. She almost accidentally ate the potato, but caught herself in time to avoid such disasters. Uh, she decided that she would sell all of the silver-rated items, including the silver potato, 6 silver spring onions, a silver daffodil, a silver tulip. Perfect. Oh yes, and she wanted to sell the 10 parsnips as well. So she placed the 10 parsnips as well as the tulip and the potato and all of the other things that she wanted to sell in the vampire chest placed there by Lewis. Fantastic. Aubrey was still pretty much convinced that Lewis was a vampire. Or Aubrey is still pretty much convinced that Lewis is a vampire and that he comes into my property. She begins every single day to take items out of my sale box and sell them at bizarre underground vampire trading get-togethers, and then he just brings back the money, the profits, and places them in my mailbox. She concludes. Yes. Yes, she asserts to herself almost self-assuredly. I am fairly certain that Lewis is in fact a vampire, and that he makes ends meet by taking products from people's sale boxes that he places there himself and selling those products at underground vampire market get-togethers, and then bringing back a fraction of the profits and putting those fraction of a profits back in the person's mailbox. But because vampires are a little bit more willing to spend money, it appears as though Lewis has just sold these items to local merchants, because the money that he receives for these transactions is about the same as if he had done such a transaction with a local merchant. So, if you were, say, Aubrey, and you were doing this and giving Lewis the ability to do this with your items, it would appear as though he had just taken your items and then gone throughout the town and sold them to local merchants. However, it would be revealed much later on, probably after you had been eaten, at least partially, or bitten, or transformed into a vampire, or like turned into some sort of monster or familiar, that what he was actually doing was taking these items and selling them at underground vampire get-togethers, and then giving only a fraction of the profits back to people such as Aubrey. Holy shit. Anyone with this information would probably just be killed for having access to this information, not for any other reason at all, really. So Aubrey was pretty certain that it was in her best interest. Aubrey is pretty certain that it is in her best interest to just keep quiet and use the box as little as possible, and occasionally give minor objects to Lewis to sell, to placate him, so that he does not get suspicious and start to investigate further into why Aubrey is not using the sale box more often. Fantastic. Okay. Aubrey isn't exactly sure what to do. She looks through her mental notebook. Turns out that Emily... Oh! Okay. Turns out that Emily still needs a gift, so she looks through her chest, takes out a daffodil, which is a gift for Emily. She takes out a parsnip, which is a gift for Gus. She takes out a spring onion, which is a gift for Leah, except that Leah has already received 2 gifts this week, so she doesn't do that. She realizes that she needs to get what else? A flower for Haley. Um, for Maru? What does Maru like? Maru probably won't be at the saloon. The only reason, by the way, that Aubrey is considering this is because she knows that on Friday nights, everybody, basically half the town, goes and hangs out at the saloon. So, knowing that this is about to be happening, she goes through her chests and attempts to find gifts for everyone that will be there. So, 2 flowers, 1 parsnip, 1 piece of quartz, and what else? That's pretty much it. Alright, she takes her gifts and very excitedly heads off in the direction of the saloon, fully expecting that when she arrives, there will be everybody that she likes, everybody that she admires, everybody that she wants to like her, all hanging out in the same location, having fun, drinking, talking, singing, dancing, generally having a good time. And she, Aubrey, is planning to crash the party and give literally everyone something that she knows that they will like. So she runs straight up to Emily and gives her a daffodil. Thank you, I'm feeling a positive energy from this gift, Emily says. You're welcome, Emily. I'm glad that you like it. Ah, spring, the season of pastels. I actually prefer jewel tones myself, says Emily. Oh, excuse me, I was mumbling about fashion again, wasn't I? She goes on. You know what, Gus? I know that you're staring at me. I know that you don't like the fact that I'm distracting your employee there, Emily. So I'm going to placate you directly by throwing this parsnip at your face the way I always do, says Aubrey. And she throws the parsnip at Gus's face. Oh, goodness. Are you sure? He says, as the parsnip smacks across his face and falls to the floor. Business has been really good tonight. I'm pleased, he says. Good on you, Gus. And Aubrey is fairly certain that Gus is infected because he's doing the thing again. He's doing the repetition thing. We wouldn't be able to survive without nature. It's good to remember that, says Leah. In her corner, by herself. Poor Leah. Aubrey wishes that she could just hang out and talk with Leah for the entire night. And in fact, she's very tempted to do just that. She's very tempted to just stand here and be in Leah's presence and show Leah that she is appreciated and that she deserves company. Though she remembers just passingly that some people, such as introverts, probably like Leah, prefer to be alone. Holy shit, wait a minute. Abigail? Before you leave... Oh, yeah. You have received both of your gifts. Abigail? Hello? Wow, I just realized it's Friday, says Abigail. Sometimes I totally lose track of time, she says, as she heads out toward the exit. I don't really know you, says Sebastian, as he heads out the door. Here comes Sam. Oh shit, wait a second. Aubrey knows just what to do. She runs up to the Joja Cola machine and then attempts to sprint back out the door and catch Sam before he leaves. She doesn't catch him before he leaves, however, she does manage to catch him on his way home, and she gives Sam the Joja Cola. Thanks, I really like this, says Sam. With a big grin on his face, he clearly unironically loves this Joja Cola. Good on you, Sam. Good on you for having things that you like. Having things that you genuinely like, that you're not afraid to share with people. I wish I could say the same, Aubrey begins, about literally everybody, but unfortunately, it seems that only you and a few other people are actually willing to unironically like things openly to other people. Amazing. Okay. Aubrey looks through her mental checklist and attempts to remember who... Oh, is Haley here? She wonders. Is Haley here? No, she's not. Haley doesn't come to the saloon on Fridays, she concludes. And then she goes back to Leah and decides, you know what? Yeah, I am gonna just sit here and sit next to Leah the entire time. I'm just gonna stand here next to Leah and keep her company because despite the fact that she's an introvert and she seems to like spending time alone, she still does come to the saloon. And frankly, that indicates that she probably wants people to come and talk to her. And even though she doesn't have anything to say, like I can't actually talk to her, Aubrey continues. She's still here. She's still participating. She's still spending time with people, and she still deserves to receive attention from people who like her. So Aubrey just attempts to stand here and relate as passively as possible to Leah as she can. And she waits for Leah to have enough and leave on her own terms. And after that, Aubrey isn't really sure what to do with herself, though it is exactly midnight now, so it's time to get the fuck out of here and get home and go to sleep. Bye, Leah. I hope that you have a good sleep. Aubrey calls as she heads home. Her eyes are starting to close on their own. She's starting to sort of pass out and stumble a little bit because it's so goddamn late, and she has no energy left whatsoever. She just manages to stumble into Spiderweb Farm cottage, and she attempts to pet Joan of Arc, but is completely unable to. And then she goes to sleep for the night and passes out as soon as she touches the blankets. And in the night, she realizes that selling those items, she has made a solid 621 golds. And she wakes up on day 20 of spring, which is a Saturday, and she gets up and she goes straight to the TV and sees what the fortune tellers say today. Apparently, Saturday, the 20th of spring, is a neutral day. And oh, whoops, fuck. Aubrey goes into her chests, her blue chest specifically, and produces a watering pot, which she intends to use to water every single plant in her entire collection, including a potato that is currently ripe enough to pick. And she picks the potato and proceeds to water all of her other plants. This process, by the way, she thinks, is getting so repetitive that she just has to do something about it at some point. She's certain that if she doesn't install some sort of automated watering system at some point, that she will go absolutely mad, and that all of her fears about going insane will come true. Though this time, it's a very different fear, because rather than fearing that she has been insane for some time, she fears that through stress, she will become insane through something that is easily preventable. So, she definitely does not want to do that. She definitely wants to avoid going insane through preventable means. And she's definitely keeping an eye out for anything that would allow her to water her plants automatically in ways that do not require her to get up every single goddamn morning at 6 a.m. and water all of her plants manually. So, she looks through her crafting menu and realizes, no, I don't have any sprinklers or anything like that. I'm just gonna have to suffer through watering all of my plants every single day. Whatever. Fine. Okay. Sure. She then puts away a daffodil and a potato. She actually picks up the daffodil again because she thinks that maybe she can give it to Haley and that Haley will be happy if she does that. However, she also remembers that the wizard Rasmodius has been hiding some very secret-looking items in his basement, and that she should probably go and give him some sort of gift in order to attempt to gain his favor. So she takes a variety of things She actually decides to give him a quartz to start out with. Perfect. And she also takes the 11 geodes that she just happens to have on her person and figures, you know what, with 11 geodes, 11 entire geodes, I may as well go and talk to Clint and have him break open each and every single one of these things. Come to think of it, she begins, these will actually cost, what, 275 gold to do? Not a pittance, not a insignificant amount of money to break open all of these. Aubrey hopes that Clint will start to give her a discount if she continues bringing him this many geodes. Anyway, she enters Clint's office and decides that one by one she's going to place the geodes onto his anvil and just watch him jump up into the air and smash each and every single one. Looks like malachite and an ancient stone tablet have all come out of this thing. Slate has come out. Some copper ore. So far, this has been quite profitable. A weird petrified slime something came out. 5 entire copper ores came out of that one. Oh, something glowing in yellow? Calcite? This has been a very productive session with Clint here, she concludes. What the fuck is that? Sandstone? My god! Clint, you have been so helpful! She decides to investigate how much it would cost to upgrade her tools, and realizes that it would cost 5 copper bars and 2,000 gold to upgrade either of her important tools. She decides that ain't nobody got time or money for that, and she decides to just head straight into the museum and sell all of the items that she and Clint had discovered together. And actually, she decides to donate the quartz as well, because for some reason Gunther is excited to receive it. She decides to donate every single one of these things and receives 2 rewards in a row. Holy crap. She receives 9 melon seeds and 9 cauliflower seeds. Ah! However, it's too late in the spring for her to plant these 9 cauliflower seeds, so it turns out that she's just going to have to hold on to these cauliflower seeds for an entire year. 3 whole seasons she's going to have to hold on to these cauliflower seeds. And just hope that at some point she will be able to plant them and acquire cauliflower in the future. Perfect. She decides to head over and look at all of the items that she donated. Quartz, a clear crystal commonly found in caves and mines. Granite, a speckled mineral that is commonly used in construction, it says. Malachite, a popular ornamental stone used in sculpture and to make green paint, it says. Slate, it's extremely resistant to water, making it a good roofing material. Petrified slime, this little guy may be 100,000 years old, it says. Oh my god, 100,000-year-old monstrosity? 100,000-year-old petrified body of a disaster? A jumping, bouncing, squelching, slimy disaster? Oh my god, I can hardly believe it, Aubrey says. Calcite. This yellow crystal is speckled with shimmering nodules. Sandstone. A common type of stone with red and brown striations, it says. Fantastic. Holy shit, am I glad, Aubrey begins, to have donated all of those things to the museum. Thank you, Gunther. Thank you for being such a fucking professional and for being so educated and for educating all of us about these various items. Thank you. Aubrey goes outside and she runs into Lewis. Hello, Lewis. Everyone seems a little happier on the weekends, don't you think? He says. Why, yes. I'm on the job 7 days a week, though, he says. Well, it seems like you're built for it, Lewis, because despite the fact that it looks like you've been at it for like 50 entire years, you seem to not be slowing down in the slightest. Lewis? I'm here to collect Clint's business tax. Oh, you're here to collect taxes, Lewis? Let's see what Clint has to say about this. Sometimes I wonder how I ended up in this town, says Clint. Really, Clint? Oh my god. Wait, what? Malcontent? What? Problems? Problems? Clint? You can't have problems. You're essential. What? Did you not grow up here? How did you end up here? Why are you unhappy? Holy shit, Aubrey's panicking. If if Clint is unhappy, if Lewis just shows up to collect taxes and Clint decides to question his loyalty to this town, then what the fuck's gonna happen? Who's gonna break open my geodes? Who's gonna upgrade my tools? Who's gonna be awkward and charming? Holy crap. Aubrey is panicking. She has no idea what to expect. Holy crap. Lewis, can you not? Can you not collect taxes from Clint? From Clint? Clint? Hello? Clint? Poor Clint. He has to pay taxes because he's a business owner. Well, sadly, it turns out that Clint has cornered himself by choosing to open a business and participate in capitalism. Because in order to participate in capitalism in a democracy, you have to pay taxes, and all modern ethics suggests that that's exactly what you should do. There's no legitimate reason why anyone would need to get out of paying taxes, especially if they run a business. Hey, Aubrey thinks. Jody, is looking for an anchovy. For a moment, Aubrey ponders this, because Terence, the intelligent fish, the intelligent treasure-guarding fish, is an anchovy, and Jody is looking for one. If Aubrey really wanted to get rid of Terence and his judgmental stares, she would give Jody Terence. However, Aubrey decides not to go through with it. Not because she values Terrence's life or anything like that, but because she thinks Jody isn't quite the optimal recipient. If it had been Robin, or say Caroline, then maybe Aubrey would have gone through with it. But Jody? Jody is not... I mean, Aubrey doesn't have a problem with Jody, but Jody isn't the most interactive, the most engaging of the townspeople, in Aubrey's opinion. So she's hesitant to give away a potential sentient life to Jody for the purposes of her own weird pleasure. So she decides to hold on to Terence for the time being. And in the meantime, she puts away the things that she has gathered. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So, in the meantime, Aubrey thinks, it is time for me to build some things around town. It is, around my farm. It is time for me to make a cobblestone path, for instance, she begins, that goes across my entire property. So, what she does is she makes an absolute fuck ton of cobblestone paths. Probably like 100, maybe more like 75. She decides to make 75 cobblestone paths right away, with no regrets. And she places them straight down heading straight down the stairwell, which, oh, seems to weirdly intersect with the staircase, which is very strange. She decides to remove the cobblestone path from both underneath her porch and also on top of the staircase. But she decides to leave it down in every other location where it appears. And she discovers that there are going to be a significant number of trees in her way. So, Aubrey decides, you know what? I'm going to get my axe and I'm going to cut down every tree that stands in my way. And she vows that that's exactly what she will do. And that is literally exactly what she does. She cuts down this tree, which is getting in her way and stopping her from building her road that goes up into the future cherry orchard. And she builds a road that goes straight up into the cherry orchard and then straight down the other side. But being that there is nothing on the other side, she decides to leave that unfinished. Perfect. Okay. And then the path leads over to the west, where it intersects with another tree. And this path will eventually become the path that leads out of the farm. So Aubrey just happily cuts down every tree, though with a significantly reduced amount of pleasure from what she's used to. She does not experience the same level of pleasure in cutting down these trees as she experienced in clearing the area of rocks and logs and various other obstructions, because now she's not just cleaning the area, she's actually rebuilding it. And she's pretty sure that this isn't exactly necessary, and that she's only really doing it for her own aesthetic idealism. Wait a second. That's not the way to go. She's pretty sure. Why am I going this way? Hang on a second. Aubrey says, I'm pretty sure that I have no idea what I'm doing or where I'm going. Okay. Here we go. She continues. This is where I want to go. This path needs to go up here. It needs to pass through this area. It needs to pass down here, and it needs to go across this bridge. So she decides that she needs to clean out this grass area and remove all of the grass and place down cobblestone paths in its place, which also requires that she cuts down this tree. So she looks up into the branches of the tree. It's like a pine tree, and she looks up and she sees a family of birds nesting inside of the branches. She sees like a woodpecker happily roosting in the tree, and she just looks up at those birds and she says, "You know what? You feathered flying fox can find your homes elsewhere. So go and just do exactly that." And so she cuts down the tree with no regard for their lives or their livelihoods whatsoever. And she cuts down the tree, and the birds are forced to fly away as she cuts down the tree. What a day, what a time to be alive this is. Aubrey has no idea what came over her. She is not sure why she's being so mean to the local wildlife, but she assumes that the feeling will pass as soon as she's done renovating. So she places down the path that will eventually lead out of her property, and she ensures that it actually does cross and connect with her other paths, and that there is in fact a continuous path that leads from one side of her property to the other. Fantastic. Okay. And now that she has done this, Aubrey feels distinctly, pointedly unhappy with herself for having done such horrible things to that woodpecker and the other birds that were in that tree. Um, she has no idea what came over her, and is just really disgusted with herself for having done such a horrible thing and delighted so much in it. She has no idea what came over her and definitely regrets what she did. Um, though she can't really do anything about it at this point because she already cut down the tree. But perhaps what she can do is build a birdhouse for the birds that she displaced from their homes and attempt to atone for her wrongdoing by providing a home for any potential future birds that wish to roost in, around, or near her home in the future. So, with a heavy heart, with many regrets, Aubrey vows that she will be friendly to any and all birds that attempt to roost in her home in the future. Oh, good. Okay. She, after making this decision, um, feels much better about herself and her decision to become a farmer. Because, after all, if she can't even be nice, kind, generous to the wildlife that lives on her farm, then holy shit, what what fucking chance does she have to acquire true happiness for herself? Um, so she feels very good about the fact that she has vowed to create bird houses and bird feeders and bird waterers and bird baths and basically anything that birds need in order to facilitate their pleasant stay on Spiderweb Farm. Perfect. Aubrey feels much better having made these accommodations, or at least having planned to make these accommodations. If at any point in the future it becomes clear that it is possible at all in any capacity for her to do these things, she intends to do them. Excellent. Okay. Um, she puts away all of the building materials that she used, having completed her road system, which is beautiful and efficient and direct. Aubrey, realizing that it was 11:20 a.m., watched an owl fly down across her property with a smile across her face, and acknowledged its presence, acknowledged its elegance, its beauty, and acknowledged once and for all its right to exist on her property. And in the spirit of night predators, she decided to lay in bed and imagine what it was like to be an owl, flying across the darkened nighttime air, searching for rats or any other animals, prey animals that were scurrying about on the ground. Aubrey just dreamed intently about what it would be like to be an owl, and it was amazing. And she slept and dreamed with a newfound appreciation for birds and everything that they stood for.